We are coming up and we're live. Hi everybody, how you doing? It's Bruce here, traveling with Bruce. Welcome to the Wednesday night live show. I have special guests here this evening. I've got Sharon and Jamie here from Sharon At Sea Travel. Looking forward to visiting with them. Fire away your questions for them, and please say hi to them for me. Welcome one and all. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy lives out there and popping in to see TWB and friends. It's nice of you to see us. Here at Traveling with Bruce in Creston in BC, we are hitting the fall weather. We did not even hit 38 degrees today. We're about 37 all day long, and it's cloudy, and we're getting snow in the next couple of days. They say in higher elevations, I know just a few hours away from us, there is snow everywhere. So far, we're being spared. Seem to be getting a little bit of this Seattle kind of weather to sort of keep it rainy rather than snowy, but the snow is coming. What can I say? Welcome one, welcome all. It's nice to have you here. Excuse me. Double checking to make sure the show is live. And we are on. Fantastic. I did a video earlier today that's creating a bit of a stir. I commented on a YouTube. I was watching CNBC, the business news station this morning, and they had an analyst on. I think it was Goldman Sachs or something like that. Anyway, the analyst is a specialist in the cruise, airline, hotel, and gaming sector. So it covers Vegas and business travel and leisure travel and cruise lines and everything else. And she was asked about what's going on out there, and she gave her opinion on the airlines. And when it came to the cruise lines, I was listening in to see what she had to say, and I was very curious when she brought up the topic about how she's aware that the cruise lines would like to get going, and that they're waiting for the CDC, of course. And at this particular moment, early December is the anticipated startup if things go the way they're going. But she then said something really interesting. She said that from what she understands, cruise ships will be limited to between 30 and 40% occupancy upon startup. That is the behind the scenes stuff she's figuring out. I don't know where she gets this from. I've heard restrictions being talked about. I know in Europe they're doing restrictions on occupancy. I had always thought that it would be balcony cabins that would be allowed to be booked, and I had suspected maybe 90% could be booked or something like that, keeping 10% in reserve for any a crew that get ill or passengers that get ill and need to be quarantined with an outside access to outside air. In any event, 30 to 40%, and she commented that even at that level, some of the newer ships, the great big newer ships, they will break even at that level. And she also commented that she felt that between 5 and 10% of the fleets would be up and running in the first month or two, and then slowly but surely more ships would be added into the rotation, and after 6 to 9 months, the cruise lines would be back up and running if there aren't any major interruptions in the entire deal. So there was a lot of caveats there and a lot of things, but I caught that and I thought, I haven't heard some of this before. And I thought, I'll let you folks in on it. And I was doing the video or putting it together, and I thought to myself, my goodness, if these cruise lines are going to start with, say, 4 or 5 ships each when they do start, and only 30 to 40% occupancy allowable, so a ship maybe that can handle 4,000 passengers, to give you an idea. A 4,000 passenger ship could hold 1,200 to 1,600 passengers for a cruise. I'm thinking, what about all these passengers who have future cruise credits? There are millions of people who booked a cruise, paid for a cruise back in 2018 and 19 for 2020 and for 2021. They've been getting canceled. And every month that's going by here, we're adding, millions more people who've lost their holidays. Some of them take their cash back as refunds, of course, but a bunch of them are taking future cruise credits because of these incentives the cruise lines are offering. If the cruise lines can only handle 30, 40% of their cruisers, how long will it take for people who have future cruise credits to be able to use their cruise credits? And then anyone else on the outside who took the refund and now wants to rebook because it's coming back. Now they feel comfortable to get into it. Are they going to be even able to book a cabin anywhere? And if you're an inside room fan and you're not allowed to have it, or you love ocean view rooms and that's what you want, and the cruise line's not allowed to sell you that room, now what? And the other question I have, of course, is will the cruise lines cancel all the cruises, do a reset, and then reopen bookings with these restrictions? What will the rate be? Because if the best they can hope for is a break even at 30-40% occupancy, will they bump the price by $50 a day to try to make a few dollars at 40-something%? I just, these are questions that I can't answer. It's one of those, I don't know. So I thought I'll make a video, I'll throw it out there. I'll get a lot of comments. I'll get a few complaints, but you have to take it. And let's just see what comes of it. So that was the video I did today about this topic, having heard an interview this morning on CNBC from an analyst that closely follows the financials of the cruise lines. They have, this gal has deep contacts way up high in the companies to contact for inside knowledge or updates or rumors or thoughts or impressions. And of course, she has all the other analysts that she can talk to kind of compare notes to see what they think is going to happen. Because these folks, these analysts, they represent the bankers, and the bankers are the ones who've been dishing billions of dollars to the cruise lines to allow them to keep going during this shutdown. All right, so that was the first thing. Second thing I'll mention before my guests start up with us is California, the state of California. It is another story came out today about how upset the folks at Disney are, Universal Studios, Knott's Berry Farm, and other large theme park operators. They're totally shut down in California. They're not allowed to open. They're not allowed to allow the public in. Unlike Florida, which is slowly going to a full wide open system over there, whatever be damned. I mean, here we go. We're opening. In California, they're not allowed to open. And the story apparently is that because the positivity rate from testing is so high in Anaheim and other communities where these parks are located, the California government will not allow these businesses, period, and these theme parks in general, these huge gatherers of thousands of people, to operate. And the COVID virus is running rampant, and California won't let it happen. So this is bad news, because if you've ever been to Disneyland in Anaheim, you know that the park and California Adventure and everything is surrounded on four sides by convention center, mom and pop hotels, high-end chain hotels, zillions of restaurants, and other operators trying to cash in on souvenir sales and that type of thing. And all of them are hurting badly. And we are talking about between all the parks, we're talking tens of thousands of people who are not able to work because there is no money coming in through the front door for anyone. So a lot of folks are hoping and praying and waiting and wishing for California to get those numbers down, and then we go. But right now, folks, unfortunately, in a number of states in the US and now countries in the EU and Europe, the numbers are spiking. Here in Canada, they're spiking as well. Last point, European Union countries, they put out a list about a month ago of the countries that they would allow people to come from to visit the European Union countries. The United States was not allowed in a couple of months ago. The administration tried to lobby very hard to change their minds, but EU said no way. Canada was allowed at the time. We found out today that now Canada is not allowed for Canadians cannot fly to some of the European countries and or visit. We're allowed to fly into France, for example, but we might be subject to a quarantine there, testing and everything else. But the EU is restricting more countries. They dropped Canada, Tunisia, and the country of Georgia, which is a former Soviet Union satellite country. The only countries that are allowed people can travel in for business or pleasure now, apart from the EU themselves, we're talking Australia, China, Japan, New Zealand, Rwanda, Singapore, South Korea, Thailand, and Uruguay. And I note that New Zealand, for example, and Australia, actually. There are viewers here who watch me from both of those countries, and they tell me how they have been on a full-blown lockdown for months through virtually most of their summertime and fall. And in New Zealand, they have almost eradicated it. There was a bit of a spike, and they really doubled down on the lockdown to absolutely shut this virus out. And these are the countries that the citizens are allowed to go to Europe if they wish to. I don't know how many want to, but they're allowed to. Anyway, there you go. There's the a little bit of the news for you for the day today. I want to get right over to my special guests, and I want to talk to our friends here, Jamie and Sharon. So let me pop them up right now. Hang on, guys. Let me grab the little mouse I have here, and let's see if I can get them in. There they are. Can you hear me, guys?
Hey-o! We hear you, Bruce. What's going on, buddy? How are you?
Welcome, welcome. We are very good. Thank you for joining me today. We've got about 145 folks here.
Woo!
A bunch of them have been saying hi already. Nurse Nancy is here, of course. A lot of friends of both of our channels are here, and I
see a lot of familiar names out there. Sharon, you see all those? I got my phone kind of set off to the side here, so if we glance down, it's just so we can keep up with all the excitement. Bruce, did you say that it was freezing cold up there in Canada right now?
We are, luckily here, we're not that bad. We're in the mid to upper 30s, so that isn't, we don't call that freezing cold. For Americans, that might be Arctic type conditions, but what's your temperature where you
I don't even want to tell you that when on the way home from work, I got in the car, I put the window down because it was a little bit stifling, and I looked at the little thermostat on the dashboard there, 102, it said. 102 here in Arizona. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's still warm here.
No kidding. I lived for a number of years in Palm Desert, California, and loved it there. And this is the time of year the locals would say it's the big break, the big break. And that's where it went from 115 temperatures for the day down to about 95, 100 during the day, and then overnight into the 50s. And everyone went, oh.
Yes, we're waking up now to about 68 or 70, but it climbs once the sun comes up, and it can really get hot if there's no overcast or anything like that.
Yeah, it's been warm stuff.
So there you go. There's a little weather chat to start off our time together here. A little.
It's what I do every time here. My viewers are always curious how bad is it in Creston compared to where they are. So I have so many Floridians who watch me, and Georgians and Carolinians and others, and they make me jealous by telling me how wonderful their temperatures are. It drives me nuts. But we're locked up here. You two, I know you love to go cruising. It's killing me not to be able to go. I know it's got to be killing you not to be able to go either. How many of your cruises were canceled that you personally were going to go on for 2020 so far?
I'm going to defer to the boss right here on this one. She knows the numbers.
I think we've had 4 officially canceled. We had one changed. We changed it over from January of 21 to 22 because it was from Australia. And we actually just found out today that they changed the ship on us. So they're putting us on a different ship over there in 2022 because they're moving some ships around.
Yeah, it was a royal cruise from Radiance of the Seas to Quantum of the Seas. Yeah. So all kind of shifting going on.
That's a newer ship, isn't it?
It is.
A little bit.
I'm not sad over it because I'd rather go on the newer ship, but
for sure.
Yeah, not a bad thing.
But the worst news was we had a huge cruise lined up.
Yes, we
with
had
our
one that was
friends
devastating.
Tony and Jenny from La Luda Loca. We were doing a big group cruise. It was supposed to be happening literally this weekend. We should have been flying to Florida to hop on the Carnival Breeze, Sharon's favorite ship, as everyone knows. And that got pulled right out from under us. And it was devastating.
Yeah, there was probably well over 400 sad people that didn't get to go with us.
Yes.
So everyone was devastated.
Yeah. When did the two of you begin your YouTube channel, and how did it happen? Whose idea was it, and why? And tell me the background of this.
Well,
you want to take it? You got it.
If you look on our thing, we've actually had the channel for several years, but it wasn't really a channel. It was just, how you have a YouTube account, I guess.
Yes.
So,
back in the day, I think we posted videos of Matthew when he was a baby, so other people in the family. So you'd look at our channel and be like, they've been doing this for 15 years? Well, no, not really.
But I think it was the fall of, I can't even remember if it was 2016 or 17. We decided to vlog our first cruise. We just had been cruising for so long, and we just thought it would be fun. I was kind of slowly starting to get into being a travel agent and all that, so it all kind of came together. And so we kind of just did it on one cruise, and it just kind of escalated from there. We just started vlogging all of our cruises. And
well, you know how it is. You put a video out, and a few people watch it, and you're like, well, why are they watching this? I think the first thing we put out was like a video montage with music, and we're like, geez, this thing had some people view it. Let's try it again. And a few months later, we make a few videos, and then we're like, let's try this live thing. And then a few people tune into it, and you're like, wow. And next you know, you're making friendships, you're enhancing your. I mean, it's like extended family. And it's just an unbelievable feeling to get to know all these people and form relationships with them. It's fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. So when you started it around that 2017 range.
Yeah, something like that.
And do you remember when YouTube made the big announcement? It was, I think, in January of 18. They came out with the I call it Armageddon. They came out and said, you have to have at least 1,000 subscribers, and you have.
Oh, yeah. We actually just we kind of, I guess, got in on, like, we had enough view hours and subscribers at that point.
Yeah.
Okay.
At first we weren't sure, but when we checked, we kind of somehow we made it in. So we.
But I don't even think at that time we were paying attention to things like monetization or any of that stuff. We were, but it's not like it was. You know, the $4.33, you know, a month coming around wasn't something we were particularly focused on at that time.
Yeah.
Exactly. And Sharon, how long have you been a travel agent now?
Oh gosh, over 4 years.
Yeah.
Probably about 4 years. About 4 years.
What got you into wanting to do that?
I just we love to cruise and travel, and we've just done that our whole lives together almost. And I'm always planning our trips, and it just kind of seemed fun. I'm like, you know, let me try this. And I'm always planning trips, or I was planning trips for family and things like that. So it was just kind of a decision I wanted to do, and I just kind of decided to do it. I worked both jobs for quite a while until the travel agency it just got so busy that I really just couldn't do both jobs and do them good. So I am temporarily not doing my nursing job anymore, but it's still there if I ever want to go back. So
yeah, right on. And are you doing your travel agency work from home as well?
Mm-hmm.
Like, have you always been doing it that way?
Yeah, it's a home-based. Home-based.
Yes.
So that means you don't have the overhead of an office to worry about, and you know, all that kind of stuff, and the commute and all the other logistics.
Not only is she my boss, but she's her own boss too. So that's kind of a nice deal.
Right on. Have you any idea how many cruises you've taken?
Oh yes.
I've been on 31.
And I've been on 32, Bruce. Let me point that out, that I have had one more than Sharon, thanks to my grandmother, who took me on a cruise when I was about 10 or 11 years old on the Oceanic out of New York City. And as long as Sharon doesn't sneak in a cruise without me, I will always be able to hold that over her head. I am up one on her.
Right on, buddy. Right on.
But the more impressive thing, I think, is Matthew, who is 15 and a half now. And he has been on 28 cruises for that 15-year-old. If that is not a spoiled little rascal, I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's unbelievable.
Perfect. Well, if there's any indication of just how great cruising is for a family, there it is right there. I mean,
yes. And that's really what got us. It's such a great way to plan ahead and research together and to get excited. I mean, when you go on a lot of cruises, the research isn't as it used to be. You know, you repeat ports, you're a little familiar with how everything goes. But I remember back in the day, we would just sit hours on the computer and look up ports and cruise ships and try to find videos we hadn't seen on the layout of the ship. And it was a 3 or 4 month process, just getting excited and ready to go on the cruise. And then you'd actually step foot on there. And Matthew's been cruising since he was this big, you know. And he loves it.
Yeah, that's his way to vacation. And
second nature.
Yeah, like I don't know what if we stopped cruising, he would be really upset.
Yeah.
He loves
Yeah, I can see him being married in about 10 years and saying, hey, mom and dad, are we going on a cruise this year with my wife and, the kids? No doubt about that.
Right on. And of all the cruises you've taken, I'm just going to ask you for like your history of cruising. You've obviously done the Caribbean, but what regions of the world have you been to? And is there any one either port or country you have yet to get to you'd like to get to?
Oh, yeah, a lot of them. We've cruised mostly in the Caribbean. We've done the Mexican Riviera. We've cruised Alaska. It's funny because just as this whole pandemic started in 2021 and 2022, we decided we're going to venture out and travel to other countries and things. So a lot of our cruises we have booked now are to Europe, Australia. We have a big group cruise in the summer of 2022 to Iceland, Norway, and Scotland. And so we're kind of venturing out to all those places over the next 2 years. So we need to get back to cruising.
Yes.
Yes. We have a lot of plans, and these plans keep falling apart. We need to put them back together quickly.
Right.
Well, one of the things we were most disappointed on, you mentioned about cruises that were canceled. We all know that the Carnival Mardi Gras was going to be coming out, and we were lined up to be on the inaugural out of Denmark when it was supposed to come out months ago. And so that, that one got pulled out. And another thing that we were so disappointed about, we had been invited to go on Virgin Voyages for like a 2-night introductory cruise once it got into Miami before it started the regular cruising. And that was supposed to be when we got off of the Panorama back in March, which coincidentally was literally the day we got off, they were announcing cruising is shut down. We're doing a 30-day break. And that was a wild trip in and of itself. So we've been, we were affected by it. We were right there when it all started. And luckily, knock on wood, we came out unscathed and have been that way since. But, it's been a crazy ride.
Yeah.
As you well know, I mean, you've seen it all. You're reporting on the stuff every day. You're in tune with every little nook and cranny and whatever's going on and talking about it. So if anyone's up to speed on it, you certainly are here on your channel, rolling out with all the hot news and, sharing that with all the people that, that are being affected.
So we're just hoping that around the first of the year, we're able to get back out there. We have a lot of things planned for 2021.
Yes.
I hear you there. Same here at TWB. I started my channel August 17, and I organized my first group cruise for December of this year, December 6th.
Mm-hmm.
And that is gone. And the second cruise was a group cruise for February on the Odyssey of the Seas, brand new ship. That got canceled because the ship is delayed in construction. And, we were thinking here we would every 2 to 3 months, we would book another group cruise, one after the other. And we were thinking of our third cruise to book that or announce it on the channel. We thought we would do that about April. And, by April, we're right into the thick of this. Everything blew out. And we thought, well, we can't really, I really don't want to book another group cruise for next June with all this happening. I have no idea what's going to happen because the two cruises.
It's funny though, but we kind of didn't announce any more group cruises for a while, but a couple weeks ago, we announced one on the Carnival Celebration in 2022 when the inaugural sailing out of Miami, the U.S. inaugural. And it's crazy how many people are ready to jump on that cruise.
Lots of response.
So I don't think it really matters that we're not cruising, with the group cruises, because if people they just want to go on a group cruise they're going to book it anyway.
Bruce, I get home from work and ask Sharon how her day was, and she says, I've been extremely busy. And I'm like, doing what? And she says, booking cruises. I'm like, are you kidding me? You wouldn't believe the amount of people that are still booking. And of course, there's cancellations that are rebooking. And every 2 or 3 months, as they announce new ones, a new batch of people have to get taken care of, and they cancel. And Sharon is, there to kind of lift them up by the bootstraps and get them set up again. So it's like double the work, basically, every time it's a cancel and a rebook.
I think, within the next week or so, we're probably going to go through some more cancellations because Norwegian and Royal, I expect they're going to cancel through December. That's what I'm thinking.
Mhm.
I know Carnival says they're going to sail, but they're not going to sail all those ships out of the two ports. I'm sure that if anything, they'll probably choose one or maybe two ships to go, I think.
Yeah.
But
we'll see. We're just keeping our fingers crossed for the one day we can actually tune in and we can get a notification that Traveling with Bruce is live. And he says, here's video of a ship leaving a port. And we'll know that we're good to go.
in the U.S.
In the U.S., yes, in the U.S.
U.S. Any U.S. port, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Can't wait. I know up here we're watching closely the Canadian situation because the government of Canada has shut down all Canadian ports, of course, and we're waiting now. Probably in the next month or so, we should hear from the government of Canada. How much longer are they going to do a shutdown? If they say to the end of the year, that means nothing because there is no cruising in December out of Canadian ports anyway.
Yeah.
But we're waiting for next spring. What's going to happen for that Alaska season? And
I'm getting a lot of questions about that. You know, is Alaska going to sail next summer or not?
Exactly. It's all up in the air. Same with the Canadian Maritimes, Quebec City, the city of Montreal, that whole region over there. My wife wants to desperately do a New England maritime cruise in the fall. She wants to see those spectacular fall leaf colors.
Yeah, that's the time to do that.
We'd love to do that, but not happening. I was hoping for a group cruise maybe next year for that, but we have to wait and see this thing out. There's just so much uncertainty right now, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And then there's the Caribbean island scenario, the island nations in the Caribbean. It's like herding cats. One country may open up, another one may not. One will open with restrictions, one will open wide open. This is all to be sorted out.
Yes.
Yeah.
You'll have to cross our fingers and just hope that, when the American side is ready to start, are the Caribbean folks ready to receive?
Yeah, really. I mean, I can see them stopping at ports, yet, there's a lot of talk about, you can't really go out and do an excursion unless it's ship sponsored.
Yeah, that's
and
how
of
it's
course,
probably going to be.
for new cruisers, that's like a no-brainer. But for folks that have cruised a number of times, we're used to going out on our own and finding that diamond in the rough excursion that, there's 3 of you instead of 30 of you and that. But there's a lot of cruise ports now that are owned by the cruise lines, and more they're having fun things to do. I mean, look at Royal, for instance, with Coco Cay or Key, depending on who you are. And, and they can just say, hey, don't worry. If they're up and running, and they'll say, come on, we'll go to Coco Cay. We're wide open. We own the joint, and you can come there. And it's the same destination it was a year ago before any of this happened. So they may have a leg up on other cruise lines that don't have those attractions at a port.
Right,
So
right. It's a good move. It's a smart move by the cruise lines to protect their clientele and also to control the entire experience. I mean, once you're on the Royal Caribbean ship, you're on that property until perhaps the end of the cruise. If you go to Coco Cay and then maybe a day at sea over to Labadee for a day at sea, maybe Coco Cay on the way home, and then back to Miami or Fort Lauderdale or Port Canaveral, and you've only been on Royal Caribbean sanctioned areas the entire time. From a safety point of view for catching the virus, that would be smart because they can
feel pretty good
exactly who you're exposed to. And then from a security point of view, with your with Matthew, Matthew is, say, a 6-year-old, and you guys coming to Coco Cay for the day, you don't have to worry about Matthew being approached by any ne'er-do-wells. I mean, it's all corporate property. It's like being in Disneyland or Disney World. It's a controlled environment. There won't be any panhandlers on the beach, that kind of thing. And of course, for ease of all travelers, you've got a wristband on, or you've got your neck band on with your little sensor. You want to order a drink? Just here.
Boom. I was waiting for you to point that out. Maybe the best thing about it, besides the safety and you're right there and you're healthy, is drink package included on the private island. That's the way to go.
Right.
You can't go wrong with that.
Exactly right. And it's Royal Caribbean quality or Carnival quality or Norwegian, whichever line you're on. You're assured of the quality of the food and the beverages and the services there. The bathrooms are going to be spotless. Everything that we do or do not think of. We look at brochures of how beautiful these places look like on a photo.
Yes.
But then when you get there, you go, oh, where do I go to the bathroom? They don't see that in the brochure.
Husband, they're like, yeah, we're gonna pull over here. There's a large rock and a tree, right? And do your handle your business. There's
nothing worse than going to a small, say Caribbean island stop, and you're out on your own. And I got to go to the bathroom. Where do I go? Oops. Now I need the generosity of a shop owner to let me use their bathroom. And
But that is when you get all the good culture. You get the culture there, and you see things, you do things you haven't been able to do. So for us, I'll tell you what. When we did go to Coco Key, and that argument will never end. But we loved it, right? I mean, it was fantastic. But at the same time, you're like, there's something, just something missing from being able to travel and interact with locals.
Well,
and
you didn't feel like you were really,
so
you felt like you could do the same thing in the US.
It was like the best of times, yet
right?
There's something missing. So for folks that haven't been able to cruise and go check out excursions on their own and really venture out a little bit, not too wild. I mean, we're not too crazy, but we'd like to interact with new companies and book with people we haven't been with and see different things. And, we'll go a little bit off the beaten path, not too far, but those are some of the best things, about cruising as well. So hopefully we can get past all the restrictions and things open up and, get a little normalcy back in the coming months and people can really enjoy that cruising sensation.
Right on. Well said. That the first, I can see the first couple of months where the cruise lines will definitely take us to their properties.
Oh yeah.
They want to reassure all of us that, hey, it's okay. Don't worry.
They're going to be some shorter cruises to start.
Yep. 3 days, 4 days, 5 days kind of thing. And I say, way to go. Thumbs ups. Good plan. Excellent strategy. Go with that plan. And then as things settle in, okay, well, let's go to Barbados. Let's visit St. Kitts. Let's visit Dominica. And off we go. I'm kind of curious about, for example, Saint Martin. We see these photos, these aerial shots of the cruise ships sitting in Saint Martin, and there'll be 5 or 6 of them all together on those piers. I have a feeling that those days might be gone for a while.
That can be kind of tough. We've done that where there's 2 and 2, and then maybe there's one. Even when we were in Tortola, they had 2, and then there was one, just out, anchored out a little bit, and everyone's coming in at once, and it is just, it's like herding cattle through the gate, at the port until boom, it opens up, and you're out of there and on your own. So, I'll tell you what, it's certainly going to be a weird time, but I can tell you, and you're probably the same way, that we will be happy to honor any protocols that are put in front of us. Right. We will follow whatever rules they have, and we will jump right on the first cruise that we possibly can, and hopefully share that experience with a lot of people out there through video and such. And we'll be happy to be the guinea pigs, Bruce. So if anyone calls you and says, Bruce, do you know some guinea pigs we can throw on a cruise ship and send them out and see if they come back? That's us. Sign us up for that.
I say out there, any cruise people out there, if you're looking for some volunteer YouTubers,
thank you for the kind word.
Because you don't trust just one channel for their opinion only. It's okay. I have names and numbers.
There you go.
I can make it happen. And
Bruce has the contacts.
We'll be happy to put a gang together.
Well, we're hoping. We mentioned that big cruise with La Lido Loca. So when that got canceled, we were afraid it might get canceled, and we got together and put a backup plan for March. What's it? March 3rd or the 6th, March 6th, going down to the Panama Canal.
To the Panama Canal.
And now we're sitting there like, come on, March 6th, don't mess with that one too, for crying out loud.
It could happen. Well, I see the day coming. I'm not sure who will instigate this, but I can bet you in maybe 2022 or 2023, there will come a day where a cruise will be targeted by YouTube creators as a group. Mm-hmm. And a whole bunch of us will collab between us behind the scenes, and then we'll come out and we'll say, all right, we're all going on this one ship, on this one cruise. And the first 3,000 people that contact their travel agent to get on that ship, we're going. That could be a heck of a group cruise. A YouTuber.
Listen, if we can find the biggest channel that brings in the most money, they can drop their credit card and charter the whole darn thing. We'll pay them back. And when we get on the ship, we'll buy them a few drinks and say thank you, and then and we'll get the whole dang gang together.
Exactly.
Time.
That's the only thing, to charter the ship. you have to pay. One person has to pay up front to hold it. So
I know.
That's kind of
and our YouTube channel is just not putting that kind of cabbage in the bank yet, Bruce.
Not here either.
Yeah.
Not here either. No,
We have to
not
rely
yet.
on somebody else for that. So,
Oh,
but it's been great, and the group cruises are still coming, and we have other ones with other friends. We have a channel that we're friends with called The Ship Show, and they're great guys, and we have one lined up with them. So we're still going strong, and we're excited to spend time with friends and get to know more people, and that's what it's all about for us. We love doing that.
Yeah,
I agree. Absolutely right. Of all the cruises you've been on, have you ever been on a cruise ship where you had really bad weather? I mean, really bad.
Well, once.
What are you thinking? Alaska? But that was only on Alaska when we left out of Seattle, and there's about the first evening was fine, but the next day and a quarter was rough. And I mean, we all gathered down at the lowest point in the lobby, and the girls were finding ginger and green apples to settle their stomachs, and the guys were settling our stomachs with Foster Lager oil can beers, and that was where I saw the most people that were just green in the gills and not looking, too good.
Probably that was the worst. One Caribbean cruise coming back one time, it was pretty rocky for us.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, we haven't had real bad.
We've been lucky.
But we typically don't cruise during the midst of hurricane season, like from August through I don't even know if we've cruised, I think, a short cruise in August, but August and September, we don't cruise normally. Because that's, I don't know. Usually once by October hits, it's usually pretty good in the Caribbean.
Yes, we'll risk it a little bit in October, but September, we usually steer clear of that. Because I'm not even worried about the weather, because you can steer around the weather.
It's changes of things or
it's just the port. Let's say you watch Galveston, Texas. That port, the weather comes in, a block of fog comes in, your cruise is put off for a day just because of the weather hitting the shore. Meanwhile, if you could just get out of port, you could be cruising out there in the sunshine and without a care in the world.
Yeah, you're on your way, right? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I was on a cruise with my wife on the Explorer of the Seas. We left Bayonne, New Jersey. It was a March or an April cruise, and New York was 60 degrees.
Wow.
And the harbor in New York was so flat that I was taking photos of Manhattan reflecting off the water.
Yeah, just like glass, huh? Mm-hmm.
Glass. And I thought, wow, this is going to be a beautiful cruise. We had, I think it was an 11-day cruise booked, and we were supposed to go to Labadee for our first stop. So we were supposed to have a day at sea and then Labadee the next day. Well, we find out as we were pulling out, the captain comes on and says, there is a storm coming up here. It's a nor'easter, but we're heading south. It's going north, and we're going to put the pedal to the metal when we get out of the harbor here and go as quick as we can to get through as much as we can overnight. And I thought, well, hopefully, it'll be lousy tonight, but tomorrow when we wake up, we'll be through the worst of it. The next morning we wake up at 8:00. And we have an inside room. My wife and I have an inside room, so we can't see what's going on. And we can feel the movement. And I'm getting up to go to the bathroom, and I can't walk through. I have to walk
sidestepping the whole way.
And so get back to the bed, and I thought, well, we'll just lay down a little longer and we'll just sleep in a bit. So we'll lay down a little longer, and then about 9:30. Okay, well, let's try and get up and see if we can get to. We'll go to the buffet and just nibble on little things rather than have a big breakfast. And I made it down the hall to about the lobby area, and that's as far as I got. And then last night's last dessert was paying me a return visit, I suppose.
It came back to haunt you.
My wife was fine because being a mom, she can handle anything. But I was green and had to go back to the room. And I found that if I laid on my left side, I was fine. If I laid on my right side, I would just get ill and feel
really. That's weird.
So I don't know why, but I lay on my left side the whole time, and we stayed in that cabin for the rest of the day. And the next morning we got up, and that was when we were both hungry now, but at that point we were through 90% of this thing, and the captain came on every hour with updates, which is great to be honest with us. It was bad. We were going 25 knots at one point. The system was going 60 knots the other direction. We were going into a 100-mile-an-hour wind with seas of 40, 50 feet, and we could hear the waves crashing into the front of the ship. And then we could hear the wave, the noise of the wave all the way down the ship. So you heard it from here all the way down there, way down below. Of course,
going all the way through, huh?
Unbelievable.
Well, you know what? I mean, Bruce, you know that here on our channel, we'd love to give tips for cruising. And one of the best pro tips that I can give is that when you are in rough weather, that's the best time to have a few extra cocktails, because as you stumble, that is, Sharon, trust me, and Bruce will understand. I'm telling you right now, when you have a few extra beverages and you're walking on the ship, and then as you stumble one way, and then the ship goes the other way, and when it's all said and done, you're walking straight as an arrow without a problem.
There's a tip right there.
Pro tip. You're not going to get that on a lot of other cruise channels. I just want to let you know.
Exactly. Those of you at home, make sure you write that down, and don't forget that. It's very important safety tips here.
Thank you. Thank you.
I got to tell you, though, the rest of the cruise that we were on, we still had waves of 15 to 20 feet from time to time. Piece of cake.
Yeah.
That's just child's play.
Yeah, well, after you have waves coming over the bow, you know those waves, you're like, oh,
no big deal.
Okay.
So we from then on, I have not had any problems at sea, because I survived that first one day where it was bad. We found out the next evening for dinner, we were sitting at a table of 10. Mm-hmm. And we asked folks, how many cruises have been on and this sort of thing. And this is before my YouTube days. And there was a couple there who said they'd been on 35 odd cruises. They were in their 80s. And I said, well, last night, what do you think? And they looked at me and said it was the worst ever.
Really?
We've never had one this bad before. We've done the North Atlantic a couple of times, bad in the winter.
Yeah.
This was the worst we've ever experienced. There were people with broken arms who had fallen over.
Wow. I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it for sure. I mean, we have been lucky. Thank the Lord above.
We really haven't had any really bad weather.
know,
We've had some pretty good rain here and there, but nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing like that.
And I'll tell you what, and the funniest thing, and you probably know this, is you hear a lot of folks talk about when they get bad weather or rain, and my cruise was ruined, it was horrible, what a waste of money, and I'll tell you what, some of the most fun we've had is just being cooped up inside the ship and running around, and maybe jumping from the casino to a bar to a show, and just having a great time. So
experiencing all the amenities on the ship.
Yeah. There's so much there to do, and sometimes you don't realize it till you're forced to experience it, and then you're like, wow, I never even knew this was here, and this is my third time on this ship. I mean, it's
you just have to be flexible when you cruise.
Yes.
Right. Have either of the two of you ever visited the Queen Mary in Long Beach?
Yeah, we've been there.
We did.
We've gone out of there a few times, and we've been over there.
Well, I will tell you that
we've never stayed there overnight, but we've been.
We went on the Carnival Panorama, and that was in March. I think it was like March 7th. Right. And that was the last cruise as they did the shutdown. And it's funny you mentioned the Queen Mary, because our embarkation day, someone was getting off of that ship, and they presented themselves or someone did, that they were ill, and they stopped debarkation, and no one got off the ship, and they everyone on the ship stayed there the entire day until literally 11 o'clock at night was when we got the word that their test came back negative. They did not have the virus, and our first day got canceled. And at that point, Matthew and we were trying to get some food, and there was really nothing there. There was like one cart to get burritos and hot dogs at or something, and the line was 1.5 miles long. So we ordered a pizza, but we couldn't get the pizza delivered to the port, so we had to walk over to the Queen Mary because the pizza delivery could come to the Queen Mary and deliver to the hotel, but they couldn't deliver to the port. So we're like,
yeah.
Tip number 2. So Matthew and I went over there. Sharon was in the terminal, and she's working on whatever she's working on. And Matthew and I went and got a couple pizzas and brought them back. But we walked up and we walked in and checked out the Queen Mary for a little bit. And I'll tell you, the bar there was hopping with people who had nothing else to do while they waited for their ship. But that takes us back to that wild cruise. We vlogged the heck out of it. We did a vlogumentary of that first day,
that was
talking about everything that happened.
Two-day embarkation day, because we didn't end up getting on that first day.
Yes,
so.
for sure. It was wild.
Yeah, I followed you guys. I followed you on that cruise because I was asking myself, oh man, this has gotten it awful close, and the news coming out of Japan wasn't good, and we're watching, oh, what's going to happen here?
That's funny though, because when we got on the ship, that person that got off, they tested them and everything, but things weren't that bad. We really didn't expect anything to happen. But about halfway through our cruise, we started getting messages from friends and family saying, it's crazy out here, and then as it was the day before we got off the ship, they're like, on your way home, you better stop at the grocery store and get toilet paper and all this crazy stuff. The shelves are bare, and we're just kind of like,
we thought they were
kidding. We're like, oh my gosh, what's going on here? We're on a cruise ship.
What are you talking about? Yeah.
I remember being, we're getting all this news, and then as the ship is back in Long Beach, and they're getting ready to debark or disembark folks, and we're looking over the side, and I'm watching the gangway, and I'm just waiting to finally see some people, because we're sitting there thinking, okay, could we be on the same situation as what happened a week ago? Could there have been anybody on our cruise that got sick? We felt fine. We didn't see anyone that didn't feel fine. We talked to a number of people. We met people who recognized us and had a great time interacting, and everything was as normal as it could be. But at that moment, I was like, I wonder what's about to happen. And I just remember seeing about a dozen people start rolling off with their luggage. And I was like, okay, we're cool. We're cool. We're getting off the ship today.
Yeah.
We're okay.
And that was it. And next thing you know, we're at Walmart, and there's no TP, and there's no milk and no water, and it's insanity.
We're like, I guess everyone was right.
Yeah.
It just went silly.
It did.
Now, you remember, either of you remember the first time that either of you were recognized by someone that you were YouTubers? You remember how that happened? Do you remember that at all? Did it stand out at all?
It was on.
Was it on that Breeze cruise? Was the first time it happened more than once that it'd be?
Probably, probably in 2018, early or 17. Yeah, I think it was the Breeze. But but now when we get on, people say, we'll see people and we'll just hear people yell out like our names. And
Sharon At Sea, hey, what's up?
We're just like, oh.
Well, now we go, it's one of those humbling experiences. And I'm sure you get out and about, and I don't know how. It's been a little bit, I think, since you've been on a ship. But once you're back again, you'll realize it.
Vegas. So we went to Vegas. We were walking down the strip, and someone recognized us.
Well, that was. And
we're like, that was really strange.
Well, and there was one odd time where we got on a plane coming back from a cruise, and the people in the row behind us weren't on the ship, but they recognized us, and I think they might have been on another cruise or something, and they said, "Hey." But we're sitting at the Alchemy bar, and Sharon's kind of like, and we're doing a little YouTube live, and Sharon's kind of looking over, and it turned out the people across the bar were watching us on a little YouTube live from the Alchemy bar while we were doing it, and just fun stuff like that.
They were looking at us, and we could see them laughing, and it's like they were looking at us and laughing at us, and we were kind of looking, we're like, why are they laughing at us? What's going on? Are we doing something funny? And then we realized what was going on.
It's very humbling, and it's one of the most incredible feelings to have someone come up and say, hey, we've watched your videos, or you helped us out a few times. And there's a number of times where we've met people and sat down and had a drink with them and a chat with them, and a few folks we've eaten with. And we always tell people, if you see us out, please don't hesitate to come up and say, hey, and we'd love to chat for 5 or 10 minutes anytime that we can. And it's an honor, really, to have that happen. It's overwhelming.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. When you look, I look at my analytics, and I'll see 120 different countries are watching what I do. And I just kidding me? I'm in a town called Creston, British Columbia, 3 miles north of the U.S. border in the middle of the mountains in Canada. And they're watching. The first time I had my first experience about 2 weeks ago here in Creston, I got an email, private email, because I have my email address in my description. and a gentleman said, "Hey, I live in Creston, and you're in Creston." And I met him at the Tim Hortons. What do you do in Canada? You meet up at the Tim Hortons coffee shop.
There you go.
Grab a donut and have a chat, and met the gentleman for a couple hours. Had a wonderful chat. He loves to cruise as well. But that's the first time in my hometown of this town.
Really?
Because there's only 5,000 of us here.
Mm-hmm.
So, the odds of 500 people watching me, I think are pretty low, because we are nowhere near a cruise ship around here.
Oh, I guess so. Yeah. Well, hey, we're about to do, we found out through our Facebook and through going live on Monday nights, and that there's a number of people in our neck of the woods here in Arizona who watch, and we are at the end of the first week in November, we're put together just a get together at a local bar for beer and football and snacks. And so we're hoping to have about 20, 25, 30 people show up there, and just something fun, kind of like we had such a good time in Vegas meeting up. We teamed up with, again, I mentioned our friends at the ship show, and we had a big meet up there, and that was great.
Yeah,
and
we were surprised how many people came
and we even
flew in just for the get together in Vegas.
And when we went to Cabo, there were a few awesome people that we hadn't met yet that flew in there just to see, to hang out for a little bit. Turned out we hung out with them the whole darn time and had a fantastic time. So, but I will tell you that the one thing though that I worry about, Bruce, is, and Sharon reminds me of this every time when we go out or we're doing something, she gets in my ear and she says, "Hey, remember, people might recognize us now, so don't be doing anything stupid out there, okay?" And so I look at her like, "How dare you?" And then I think, "Oh, you're probably right. Thanks for that." I don't want to embarrass myself,
Right?
Like, watch your language, behave yourself, and
Your best behavior. That's right. You're a public figure now.
Sure. Next, look at this idiot. Look at Jamie. How rude.
There's people waiting to record you doing something untoward.
They are. We could be on Twitter. I mean, who knows what can happen? So.
They're going to post it.
It keeps me in check. I think Sharon likes that. So.
Right on. Were you? How do I word this? Were you surprised? I guess I'll use that word. Were you surprised at how much work it takes to keep a YouTube channel running? Did that surprise you when you got into it more and more, and you realized?
I think, the way, we split the duties up kind of half and half, and I edit a lot of the videos, and when we're traveling, I handle the camera a lot because I'm just a little stronger to do that. And obviously you can tell here that I'm the loudmouth. Sharon is a sweet, humble woman who will barely even self-promote anything she does. And I'm the obnoxious guy. And that's known throughout the, music community. There's no surprise there.
He does all the editing of the videos for the most part.
But if somebody's looking for information, I know there's a couple of you guys that are just the kings of the news, but Sharon will put out any information that seems like it's really pertinent to people that we deal with or her clients or whatever, and she'll jump on and make a video and do that. But I guess it wasn't until the channel got a little bigger that we really paid a little bit of attention to that kind of thing. And you could have a month where you're putting out 8 or 10 new videos from a cruise vlog, and it's something new and exciting. So not only do your core people watch and engage with you, but if you can catch the eye of others, and the deal on the analytics, you put the video out there. If it gets watched, it gets recommended. It gets watched a certain percentage. Right. YouTube recommends it more, and the more clicks you get, the more they recommend it. It's and that's how you go from a little old video to just a blow up. Our dear friend Nancy, nautical nurse Nancy, she's probably out there right now. She had an amazing trip to Cancun, and something about the video, the thumbnail, something just clicked, and that thing blew up to 100,000 views out of nowhere. Yeah. And it was amazing for her. It was a great fun video because that's what she is, great fun, and and just things like that happen.
Never know. But like I said, he follows that kind of stuff a little more than me. I really, to be honest, I never go look at any of the analytics and everything. I'll see how many views and things, but I don't know. That's really, I guess, not my thing. I kind of do it because I enjoy putting cruise vlogs out. I like to give tips to other cruisers and travel related things because I'm a travel agent and that. So that's kind of more what I do. But Jamie kind of usually checks the analytics. He does the editing. He does all more of that stuff.
Yeah. And there was a time when we weren't sure if one was supporting the other, but I think the one thing that really does great things for Sharon in the business side is people see us cruising. They see us out there engaged and doing it. And I think they feel like they've seen Sharon and they see her on the screen and they hear and they talk to her, and then they can call or email and she'll talk to them directly, and they enjoy that. And then they know that, you know, if Sharon's saying, well, here's what I recommend about a cabin or a port or an excursion, they're like, yeah, I believe you. You know, you're legit. You know, you've done this before, and you're giving me some real solid info. And I think that goes a real long way. And that's why I think she's been so successful with that. And, you know, the YouTube channel, if people keep watching that, we love it. And I think the thing we love most is just going live and chatting with people every Monday that we've come to know and gotten to meet in person now. And a number of people that I can see right out there, you know, that we've met in person. So, you know, that's really all the reward for us. We're not too heavy. Maybe one day if we can get from 30 to 60, 70,000 subscribers, we'll really dive deeper into that stuff. But we just kind of skim the surface, I think, right now of that kind of, you know, stuff like that.
You know, the way you're doing it, it means really you're doing it more because you love doing it. It's more of a pleasure thing. And that takes all the pressure off, you know. I know when I first started my channel, I didn't know what my channel would really be. I knew I was called Traveling with Bruce. And so I thought, well, I'll talk about what Bruce did on his travels, and we'll see what happens. And so I started putting out videos of having been to Europe and traveling in the States. And then I put up a video about this cruise I took with my wife, and then went on to other stuff. And then I looked a couple days later at that video about this cruise that we did, and it's got 10 times as many views as all the other the videos. They don't care about the Berlin Gate, the Berlin Wall, the Brandenburg Gate. They don't care about they're interested in your cruise. And so we took another cruise. So I gathered up all my visuals and videos and photos and put together a video about another cruise we took, and that one got a bunch of views. And I thought, it didn't take much for this noggin to figure out they're telling you what they want, and you give it to them. When you guys started going live, when you did your first couple of live shows, how many people were watching you at the time? Do you remember?
Oh, I mean, it was probably 30 or 40. I mean, in the beginning, and I remember that we used to do a thing where we would say, we'll stay live until we go to under 100, right? And that was the thing, and that would keep us on for 2 hours. And we would joke about that, and we'd be like, uh-oh, we're almost there, guys. Oh, and someone would else come on, and you know, someone would probably log in from their phone and their computer at the same time to keep it over. But now it's kind of like if we did that now, it would be 24-hour, you know, streams, and it's so, you know, you look down in the middle of it, and you know, I mean, you look down and you go, wow, there's 150, there's 200, there's 250, whatever, and you're thinking, good Lord, I don't know, you know, you feel pressure because you're trying to entertain, or am I saying something amusing? And things have slowed down a little. I mean, people want to talk cruising, and we have a group of people that will just come hang out because we want to have fun. But there's people that want cruising info, and if we don't have that for them, they're like, "Oh, I'll catch up with you later."
That's true. That's true.
Some nights hit better than others, but you know, but we try to just keep regular. I don't think we've missed a Monday night, and I don't know. I mean, years. We love going. Like if we're on a cruise, we do our Monday night live. If when we were in Cabo, we did Monday night. When we're in Vegas, we did. You know, we'll do it wherever we are. We'll make every effort to do it. Just to be consistent, and I think people dig that. So
they do. They really do. Of all the videos you've made, what has been the number one video that's given you the highest number of views, and why do you think that happened?
Probably it might have been your casino video. I haven't looked lately, but there was one that you did about the casino, and I don't know if it's the drink package or. There
was one that about watch, you know, a couple of tips for drinking on the ship, because maybe I know a little bit about that, and something about the casinos. And then we did a video called it was something about, you know, there's 7 days left of your cruise, 10 things you need to do.
Oh yeah,
that one did very well. Yeah. I think I hit on like the Viking cruise ship deal where people were getting airlifted off, and there was a couple of news ones that got some good views. Right. And I don't know that we haven't had any million view home run type of deals or anything.
Our biggest video that hit it the highest first was that packing, one of our packing ones from when we first started, kind of.
Yes.
And it was funny. It had the most views for the longest time, and it had the most horrible comments as well. So it's so funny because
they're all about me.
Well, they're like, a lot of them were like, "Oh, you're too far from the camera. You can't see." At first, when you first start doing it, you're like, everything's an experiment.
People watch a video now that was from 2 years ago and they're complaining about it. I'm like, okay, can you watch something we did a few weeks back?
A lot of times they don't realize that this was years ago, or 2 years. Or 3
well,
years
and
ago.
the other comment we get a lot of is, I don't know why they call the channel Sharon at Sea. That guy won't shut up. And we get stuff like that. And for a moment, I'm like, oh, I feel bad. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm here. What can I do about that?
We started the channel as my channel at first, Sharon at Sea, because I had like a blog site and some different things. I just used to like to write about reviews and things. I kind of did that before the YouTube. I just really like to write things and stuff. But we kind of did it together anyways. And we were always, it was more of a family thing. And then that's when you got more involved and you started editing everything and doing that anyways. So we changed it to Sharon at Sea Travel just because we're a travel kind of channel anyway. But I don't know. We thought about changing the name at one point, but I don't know that that's a good idea now that we've been around forever. And I don't know. We've kind of toyed with changing it just to SAS Travel because people call us SAS anyways a lot. And it's the initials for the Sharon at Sea, but I don't know. Yeah. Right now it's what it is. And we just tell people, it's the three of us. We're all Sharon at Sea Travel, and that's just how it is.
Yeah. Good strategy.
Actually, don't blame me. She married me. I'm innocent in the whole thing.
You married up.
Oh, I did. That's for sure.
I married up. You married up. I
am not confused at all about that. I'm not confused. So.
Right on. Yeah, you never know when a video, will really pop. I mean, you put them out there and you just go, well, here it is.
Well, I know you've had some monster like multi-million, I think you were, what's that biggest one? You have the one about, is that the Nassau one or the something about safe cruising?
Yeah. The 10 most dangerous cruise ports.
Oh, yes. That thing is, boom, just blowing up.
Yeah. 1.7 or 1.8 million now.
Yes, that's a monster.
Yeah, that's one thing. This is just we've noticed is when you put videos out there, if you put something out with something positive or the thumbnail something positive, it doesn't get the views. You put something horrible out, negative, and it gets a ton of views.
Well, people love it.
People like negativity.
Hey, if you would have named that one 10 of the loveliest cruise ports I've ever been to, that one would have got scrapped and next. But boy, if you get on the day, and we've seen the same thing every once in a while.
Same thing with ours.
You try to walk the fine line. I'm not trying to clickbait you, but let me see if I can bring you in a little bit and pique your interest to click. But
it's kind of crazy.
I did a video about 2 weeks after the 10 most dangerous cruise ports, the 10 safest cruise ports in the world.
Yes.
And I think it's as old as the other one. It's had maybe 80,000 views, where the other one's 1.8 million.
Sure.
So,
yes.
Right there. I did bring out one about how the U.S. government had brought out alerts for travelers. They do this through the State Department all the time. And so they were upgrading alerts to certain places, including cruise ports. And I did a video on that, but about 100,000, 150,000, it just didn't click. But that first one, I was even in the Bahamian national newspaper. People were writing to the editor complaining about me, the YouTuber.
Well, I think to this day, if you Google search dangerous cruise ports, I'm pretty sure your video is the first one that comes up. So.
Sure. I was slamming Nassau, and you go to downtown Nassau and walk through the straw market, and then you're out into the street. And I would read my comments, like I'm sure you read your comments, and you get the.
No, I'm sure you got bashed for some of that.
You don't know what you're talking about. This is one of the most lovely places in the world. I have nothing but wonderful friends, and then I get 15 comments. You're absolutely right about downtown Nassau. I wouldn't go there with an armed guard. I have a friend of mine who got mugged. I had this, I had that. And so you just kind of go, folks, talk all you want about my video, but here it is. It's out there.
Hey, just watch it at least about 60% of the way through, folks, and everything else will be good.
It's funny. Some of the videos that we've made, recently when we went to Vegas have gotten some of the most negative comments for us. We've gotten some really nice comments like that, really nice, and then some just horrible ones, kind of just
because
bashing
people were
us
meeting
for,
and they had their masks down for pictures and some different things like that. And people are like, "Oh, way to go, spreading the virus and all that." And I'm like, "Hey, these are adults making their own decisions." We really got bashed
kind of for that. So.
Yeah, that's true. It is amazing. I have noticed too in the last, well, definitely 6 months, the critiques have become very sharp. The spears have been sharpened in the teeth, where people have been stuck for months. And
in the beginning, you read them and it kind of stings a little, or you want to engage them on occasion.
Yeah.
And I'll say, Sharon, look at this one. I gotta tell this guy a little. And Sharon says, just stop. Just stop. Just if it's constructive criticism, and they are just simply saying they don't like something or care for it, we'll leave it up there. We won't just delete it. If it's rude or obnoxious or really just a jerk off type of a comment, then maybe we'll just
people.
Then we'll get rid of it. But if somebody says, I don't like what you did, I don't agree with it, I think you had poor judgment, then okay, thanks. I can appreciate that. Your opinion's cool with us.
Yep. And every once in a while, I've occasionally I'll get a comment that, it'll be 4 paragraphs long, these really long ones. And I remember one that still stands out to me. I had done a video talking about the way cruising used to be for our parents or for the younger crowd, grandparents. And I was talking about how, way back in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, if you went on a cruise, it was either a transatlantic or it was maybe a winter only Caribbean, thing. And all of the activities that were available on the ships at that time that you can't do anymore or just aren't offered anymore because of 60 years of time and new modern things. But I got this one comment from a viewer who he's now, I think he's my age. Well, I'm 65. He's probably 65. And he wrote to me and he said he was a child. He was about 10. So this is 55 years ago, roughly. And he said he was in San Francisco, and he got he was told by mom and dad, put on your Sunday best. We're going down to the harbor. Grandma is in town today on a ship. We're going to go visit her. And so he put on his Sunday best and with his sister and his mom and dad, and then I think another family friend. They all went down to the pier. And he mentioned the name of the ship, which I can't remember at the moment. And he said that his grandmother was on a world cruise and had stopped in for San Francisco.
Wow.
And so they were allowed on the ship in those days. They got on the ship as guests, and they were escorted to the dining room for lunch. And they had a wonderful 5-star meal on this ship with grandma there. And the young guy, he was saying, as a 10-year-old kid, this is unbelievable. I've never seen so much food in my life. And then we were taken to the dessert area, and it was just whatever you want, and it was incredible. But then the thinking was grandma wanted to just adult talk to her kids, but these grandkids, we got to get rid of the grandkids. He says, so what they did for us is they had a movie projection theater on board with one of the latest Disney movies playing. So they took us with one of the crew members to the theater, and we watched this movie for an hour and a half, which of course gave grandma and the adults time to socialize in the bar and, talk whatever. This whole story it was just incredible. And then he finished it off by saying that when his grandmother was a child, and she was like 14, she had been on a family world cruise that her father and mother had put together, and they took with them their Duesenberg vehicle, and that their car was lifted up by crane and brought over the hold of the ship and put into the hold of the ship. So it was a kind of a combination freighter and cruise vessel around the world. And when they got to South Africa, across the Atlantic, they came into Cape Town, and they took the car out of the hold, and the driver was with them. Their chauffeur was with them, and the house butler was with them.
Wow.
With all the trunks and everything else. And they then drove across South Africa with the driver, the butler, and the family to the other side where the ship met them again.
Nice.
And they put the ship back, the car back in the ship, went to India, to Mumbai, and drove across India to catch the ship again.
That is a true excursion type of deal. I mean,
just this one comment, and I read it, and I was just stunned, and I wrote back. I said, "This is the finest that I've ever received as a YouTuber. I've never had anything like this." And so I literally read that comment verbatim on the air on my next live show. I said, "Folks, I got to read this to you. It's going to take 5 minutes to read this, but what a story!" I thought, my goodness, I thought just going to San Francisco to see Grandma was pretty cool. But then to have Grandma tell the story of what it was like when she was a child from a family of means to do this, my goodness. Things have changed.
And back then you didn't see a lot of kids either.
No.
You know?
Yeah.
No. And if you did, the kids had kid clubs and play zones.
Well, that's what a lot of that story reminds me. I mentioned that I went when I was like 10 or 11. And it was the same type of deal. And we had family come on the ship, and then they just had to get off before the ship set sail. And I was there with a cousin who was a year older than me. We met one other kid who was about our age, and the most fun we had was playing hide and go seek.
Yes,
all week on the ship. And the parents would just say, "Don't piss anybody off." And the same thing they said to me was, "Don't make bad decisions and don't interrupt anybody's cruise." And that's the same thing we tell Matthew now as he's grown up cruising. When we cruise, and we now that we let him out on his own, he does his own thing, and we just say, don't make a bad decision and don't screw up anyone else's cruise experience.
Right.
So far, he hasn't. So
wise words. Wise words. You know he's going to be passing that on.
Yes,
I hope so. He will. Yeah.
When the time comes, he'll be passing that on. Well, guys, it's been a pleasure having you here today. I hope I haven't kept you too long.
No, this has been great. I feel bad because I'm looking down. I'm seeing names in the chat of people that we know and that we interact with, and folks that we see on our channel. And we have been so engaged in shooting the breeze here. I don't think we've looked at the darn chat the whole time. So everyone in the chat who was here, thank you so much. It was lovely to be here, Bruce. Thanks for having us on.
Appreciate it too.
Talking with you tonight. What a fun evening.
It is great. And the same, I get comments from my viewers who just say, I love it when you have YouTubers on, and just let them talk. Just engage with them, and so that we can drop in and share the experience. But it is difficult when you have, we've had almost 200 here the whole time we were talking. We're at 165 now. That they just come through just like this.
They come and they go, and they're dropping. New people are coming in, other ones are dropping out, and you never know. I think I think Cruise TV was on live too at the same time. I mean, competition galore out there from the queen of the deal, and
they come around.
Yeah, but
a lot of folks watching us on a rerun, obviously, which I find that my lives, about half of the views are live, and then the other half of the views happen over the next 5 days.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't surprise me if this show has 3,000 to 5,000 views over the next week by the time it's said and done, or more.
Sure. Well, we'll share it over on our side of town if that's okay. We'll say, come check us out, chatting it up with Bruce. So
yeah, anytime you want me on your channel, you let me know.
We talk about that all the time. We are yet to. We have seen. I don't know if I think I just have to venture out into some new softwares and things like that. And I think it's always one of those things where we are on every Monday, but we barely get things up and running right on time, on its own. One of us is like, get in here now. I'm starting the intro, or Sharon's like, Jamie, where are you? You got to press these buttons. And I'm saying, you know what button to press, start the thing.
Right.
And I'm not sure if we can get it together to have someone else waiting in the wings.
Yeah.
We're working on it. But maybe one day we will.
I love this StreamYard that I use. I've been using this now for about a year. It's the easiest one I've ever had. I used to use the Google Hangouts or whatever they had, which they don't do anymore. And this one here, I'm just so happy with the quality of the photo, the imagery, quality of the sound, and the ease of linking in a guest. It's just a matter of me copying an address and firing it.
That's what we made. We use like OBS, and that way we can drop in videos or a little music or something that we want to show. And we do like a thing on our show called the Sharon At Sea Travel Time Machine, where we go back in time to show a video clip from something from an event or whatever. And, we'll do funny little video clips. And we got our grandson who who we get to make a video where he comes on and says, "Don't forget to subscribe to Sharon At Sea Travel."
Awesome.
So you can drop in fun stuff like that. But we'll venture out. But once we're up and running, we will definitely call on you so we can shoot the breeze again for an hour.
No problem. Anytime. Love to do it. It was a pleasure having the two of you here. Keep up the good work on your end, and we'll keep our fingers crossed for when we can sail again.
I hope so. We'll be looking forward to it. And hopefully if anybody wants to come check us out and say hi, you know what, Sharon at Sea Travel on YouTube, Sharon at Sea Cruise Crew on Facebook, SharonAtSea.com.
Get over there.
At Gmail, if you want to book a cruise with this young lady. Bruce, if I can say it, I'll just on the way out, I just want to say,
oh my gosh,
we refer to her affectionately as America's travel agent over at the Sharon At Sea Travel channel. So talk directly to Sharon. You won't hear me. You'll talk directly to Sharon.
That's right. You don't have
to. Shameless plug. What are you going to do? You have to throw it in there.
There'll be a pleasant voice on the other end of the line. Yes.
You got it.
Well done, you guys.
All right, man. Hey, thank you so much. Great night. And to everybody, good evening. Thanks so much for having us. And the pleasure's been ours.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Thank
All right.
you.
Safe travels. Happy cruising, everybody.
Talk to you next time, guys. Thank you.
All right. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye. Fantastic. Just a great couple. I really enjoy having them here. It's, I love doing these live shows where I have a YouTuber or YouTubers with me to give you folks an insight of just, what's going on behind the scenes. Some of us work full-time, like myself, and others do this on the side a little bit, or they do it as a partnership. And each has their their style and their way of doing it. Of course, all of us who are creators right now, we're all dying to go cruising. I mean, we all want to be on a cruise ship in the worst possible way. But the way things are right now, unfortunately, we are just stuck here. We're landlocked, and so we just we talk to each other and commiserate. And I'm just grateful I have my regularly scheduled live shows. For those of you who don't know, I am on Monday nights at 7 o'clock Eastern time for my sponsor members who are members of this channel. Also now Friday afternoons at 3 Eastern, I will now do a sponsor member show starting this Friday for the first time, which will include trivia. And then Monday nights at 8 o'clock, right after the sponsor show is over, at 8 o'clock Eastern, I do my regular Monday night live show. Wednesday nights, I try to bring a guest around and have a visitation with a guest. I'm working on another one for next Wednesday. I haven't got one at the moment. So if I have one, I do. If I don't, I might be going solo. And I welcome you to join us. Those of you who are sponsor members, and if you're thinking of becoming one, there's a join button probably down here or on the homepage. We've just received in the printers. We just received in these postcards. Trying to show you this without glare. There's my old gray-haired face there. Got this new postcard from Creston that we're now sending out to all sponsor members. So if you become a sponsor member, you get one of these automatically. If you're not a sponsor member and you'd like me to mail you one of these custom-made cards, we ask for a donation to the channel, please. The link is down below. You send us a donation through PayPal. And I'd be more than happy to mail you one from anywhere in the world you are. We'll cover the postage, and we thank you for the donation to the channel. Those of you who are picking up Traveling with Bruce items on RedBubble Store, thank you as well. You can get coffee mugs, T-shirts, whatever. And then some of you out there are picking these things up. You see these the wooden blocks behind me here? These are cell phone amplifiers, and you put your cell phone right in here, and the sound comes out right here, made of solid wood, handmade here in Creston by Marshall Thompson. And we just got in today a few of the Anchor style logoed units. I think I have one more of these. I have one more of these sextant left available. These are available for a donation to Traveling with Bruce. It's a $50 US dollar donation, which will include the shipping and the handling. And we pay Marshall for his efforts, and there's a little left over for the channel. It's not much of a donation to the channel when it's all said and done, but it's my pleasure to have these made by Marshall here locally, sourced with Creston, British Columbia area wood. No moving parts, no batteries, no assembly required. And if you'd like one of these, just make a donation to PayPal for that. Again, thank you, all of you who have been here. I see a lot of familiar faces here tonight, and I've seen some unfamiliar faces here tonight. So welcome those of you who have joined us who are not normally here. I appreciate very much that you've come to see me. I'll say hi to a few folks here while I'm here, and then get going. Dylan is here, America's travel agent, commenting on Sharon. Leanne, awesome job. Mermaid Seas is heading out. Leanne is here. Come on over to the ship show. Tom Henry, bye everybody. Kirk Brunson, great show again, Bruce. Thank you, Kirk from New York City. Rachel loves Disney, says hi. Dylan is saying cheers all. Gina, America's travel agent #1. Dylan Seaman, great show, Bruce. Thank you. Michael X, great show, y'all. Jonathan Jones, 125 thumbs ups on this show. Thank you, all of you who are giving thumbs ups watching tonight. We really appreciate it. Dan Massey, thank you, Dan, for being here and being a loyal follower of my channel. He's also a follower of my Facebook group page called Traveling with Bruce, spelled with 2 L's. We hang out there between live telecasts. And if you'd like to join that group, head over to Facebook, look up Traveling with Bruce, spelled with 2 L's, ask to join. I'll let you in. I'm the administrator of that site. Dan does a lot of sharing of my videos that I post up there, and I really appreciate it. Gina loves Sharon at Sea. Brittany is here. Love listening in shows like this. Nautical Nurse Nancy, we definitely want to cruise again. Just keep doing what we can. Right on, Nautical Nurse Nancy. Thank you for following my channel as well. I know you follow a bunch. You have your own channel on YouTube. Those of you who don't know, you can check out Nautical Nurse Nancy on her own channel on YouTube. Jamie from Sharon at Sea. Thanks, Bruce, and everyone in the chat. Have a great night. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate this. Dylan, Jamie from Sharon, thank you. Sylvia, Jamie from Sharon at Sea Travel, by fantastic show. Sandy, just watched your video of today, possibly of all 2021 cruises. Thank you. Arc Adventures, have a great night, Bruce. Thank you, guys. Brittany Anderson, hopefully I'll be a sponsor member again soon. Probably next month. No problem, Brittany. Whenever you're ready, we're here. No worries. Sandy, just watched your video from today with the possibility of all the 2021 cruises being canceled. So sad. My 2020 cruises were all moved to 2021, and now those will have to be a no-go. The cruise lines will likely have to reorganize their decks here. I love watching you, says Sandy. Thank you. Brittany, 129 thumbs ups now, Bruce. You got 129. French Lake, New Brunswick loves you, says Terry Gallant. Thank you, Terry. Michael X, great commentary. The cruise lines, they don't know exactly when they're going to restart. The election in 2 weeks will likely determine that with a little more clarity. If the present administration stays in power for 4 more years, cruising might begin in baby steps in December, and we'll see how it goes from there. If, however, there's a change, it might be that during the month of November, towards the latter half, we may begin to hear suggested and possible policy changes coming with the new administration, which is the end of January 20. And that could well be a very strong hint that cruising will not be allowed as per the CDC's original recommendation a few weeks ago, that there would be no sailing in and out of U.S. ports until February, March of 2021. If the new administration is taking that tack, the cruise lines will likely not start up in December. They won't start to shut down again. They don't want to go through this. So they will likely stay shut down and wait until the new administration formally assumes power, makes whatever changes they're going to make, cabinet levels and whatever else. And the CDC will likely then be probably most likely in charge of itself to tell us what they want cruise lines to do. And I have a feeling that that administration in the White House will go along with the CDC rather than the other way around. But we'll see. I don't know. But it could be that we don't see cruising recommended until 2021, February, March. Doesn't mean that they'll start in March or April 2021. It's only a recommendation because by the time January and February rolls around, the CDC may make another determination. And that's the other thing that we have to wait for. So if it goes longer, beyond February, March, and now it's more than a 1 year total shutdown, we're going to have all kinds of things happening. We're going to have cruise lines trying to raise more money. We're going to have cruise lines that are going to be canceling cruises for December, for January, for February, a month after month after month. And we're now going to have 25 million cruisers who have lost their cruises, of which maybe 13 million took their money back and 12 million have future cruise credits. And if we're looking at a May, June, July startup with only 3 or 4 ships per cruise line, if that's the game plan, and then they slowly build up for like 6 months, a year, until they get every ship back up and running again, except for the ships that have been scrapped, of course, it's going to look a lot different. And the cruise lines are going to have to cancel a bunch of itineraries and reshuffle their lineup and come to us and say, okay, the CDC is allowing us to start at this time, but when we do start, we're only allowed so many people on a ship, and it might be 30 to 40% occupancy. It might be more, I don't know, but we're now hearing for the first time the 30 to 40% figure being bandied about. I don't know if this is going to be it or not, but if it is that low, with 12 million people owed a cruise, the cruise lines out of the US normally would handle 14 million a year. If they're now only allowed to handle 5 million a year, and there are 12 million cruises that need to be delivered, you can do the math. That's 2.5 years right there, let alone new people who want to buy a cruise and just take a cruise. So there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of things hanging in the air, and we're just going to have to wait and see how this plays out. And this is why I do the videos I do, to bring you the reality of the scenario. We all have our hopes, wishes, dreams, and aspirations about getting back out there and just living a normal life again. We all want that, but we're not going to get that for a while. And this economy has been so badly damaged, and the impact of the damage has not yet been fully felt throughout the entire economy. This is going to be a long, drawn-out affair, and cruising coming back is going to be different, and it's going to be slow and steady, because the cruise lines are going to be careful about dropping millions and millions of dollars to get crew members back, to then get caught in a scenario where it gets shut down a second time, a third time, and they have to now get these people back home again. The first time was bad enough to literally sail crew members back to their home countries. They're not going to want to do this a second time. So there's going to be a lot of tentative steps taken, I think, by cruise lines, just to be on the safe side, because they have run out of cash. They have committed all of their money to surviving, and they've got one shot to do it right. And maybe they've got 2 shots to do it right, but they really want to start sailing again and break even as quick as possible, stop the cash drain, and from there build the flow of revenue to start earning a profit. But the problem right now for cruise lines is that their costs going forward are higher than they used to be in 2019 and the beginning of this year, because of all the money that they borrowed and the high interest rates they're paying for that money. That has been added to the cost of being in business. So when they begin to sail, they're carrying 15 billion new debt they didn't have a year ago, and they're going to have to pay the interest on that money and start rolling over that debt when it comes due, because that's what they try to do. And they've got to prove to their bankers that they're viable, financially viable, for the long term, so the bankers will allow them to roll over old debt for new debt, and new interest rates might be a little more reasonable. But at this moment, folks, these cruise lines are really scrambling. Now, we know about the airlines. You hear about it in the news all the time. Delta announced a $5.4 billion loss for the third quarter. The airlines need tens of billions of dollars to survive, even though they're allowed to fly. They're allowed to fly in the domestic U.S. market. They're restricted with regards to international travel to a degree. There's some routes open, many routes not. With this new surge of the virus in Europe happening and in other areas, these U.S. airlines are in real trouble. And in Canada, the same thing. We have 2 airlines in Canada. Our second airline, WestJet, the number 2 airline, they just announced last week that they were shutting down Eastern Canadian operations. That would be the maritime provinces. They've laid everybody off. So WestJet now only services about 3/4 of Canada, where Air Canada still services the most of the country, but there have been many, many flights discontinued or temporarily canceled. There's talk in Canada that the 2 airlines may end up being nationalized temporarily by the government of Canada to just carry them while they're idle. We don't know how idle, but it's bad. In the U.S., we don't know what's going to happen. But if this backs off, if the numbers back off on the air carriers, like we had this past spring and summer, we either have bankruptcies, or we have mergers and bankruptcies, or we have emergency government relief coming in, and that'll be under the new administration if that happens at all. I don't know about the current administration, if they have an appetite for that kind of thing, but the new administration might. But it will be, could be dramatic. Hotels, there could be major bankruptcies or mergers. Shopping mall owners, watch out. The shopping mall owners are getting hammered badly. Many malls might be open, but there are many vacancies now, as you've probably seen yourself. This recovery, there's no recovery on the horizon for shopping malls and that type of thing for a while. It's bad. And so, folks, we'll see how it goes. Those of you who love to shop at Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart, Target, don't be surprised if you begin to see empty shelves. And I will say that because, not because people are hoarding, it's because the chains may have supply chain issues. If Europeans are going into lockdown again, and this affects parts for certain products, China may not be able to make up the differential, and there may be parts or transportation interruptions for goods. And we may find that we're going to get used to seeing a bunch of empty shelves here and there at some of our favorite retailers, simply because the merchandise is unavailable at this time. And this will affect the bottom line of Walmart, Costco, Target, Lowe's, Home Depot, the big box retailers, and it'll affect Amazon, because we will go online and go, that's okay, I can't find this at Kmart or at Walmart. That's all right, I'll buy it on Amazon. They're sold out. If supply chain problems persist because of the virus breakouts, it's going to go down the line, and we're going to have issues. And that means companies are going to miss earnings projections because they don't have the merchandise to sell us that we would like. The other, of course, issue, is too many of us get laid off, too many of us lose our jobs, too many of us can't go to work, then we're not buying like we used to buy. And that means consumer demand will drop because we don't have the dough to do it. We might have money for bread, butter, eggs, and milk, and some bacon, but we don't have cash for the secondary spending items, the discretionary items. And if we stop doing those purchases, the retailers and the online sellers begin to hurt as well. This is a chain reaction. It doesn't end. This is not something you can ignore that will just go away. This is going to affect us, and we have to be aware of it. And so I'm sorry to say that between this channel and Stock Markets with Bruce, I will keep bringing you the economic side of what's going on. And it might not be pleasant to hear, but it's the truth as I see it. And the stock markets are artificially high right now. I don't know how they're justifying some of these numbers. I don't know where the analysts keep coming up with these fanciful projections for stock prices, because the markets are near all-time highs now. How can they be higher than the all-time highs if the economy that we're in is getting shellacked from every side known to man? If the economies right now were running on full power and running on top production, oil prices would be $80 a barrel, but oil is 40 and it's not going anywhere. And there is a 20 million barrels a day more available than we need globally. And so the oil market isn't going to recover, and that's bad for Canadian and American oil and gas companies who produce this stuff. The guys at the pump are making their money because they buy the fuel, the oil at a cheap price. They refine it, turn it into gasoline, and sell it to us at the pump. The margins are protected all the way along the line there. But the oil companies that pull the oil out of the ground and then sell it to Exxon to turn into gasoline, they're the ones losing their shirts because they can't get more than $40 a barrel for top grade oil at the moment. And so that's why Western Canada is under pressure. Texas, Oklahoma, and other states in the U.S. are also under pressure of the energy sector. It's just the way it is, and the economy is under pressure. Anyway, there you have it. Don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but got to be realistic about what's going on. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Let me see if there's any more comments. Hopefully no nasty ones. Jeannie is here. Another fun night with TWB, at least up till now. Fred, stop the fear mongering, please. Hi from Mermaid Sea Skeeter Bankruptcy. Bye cruise lines. Bye Mermaid. If you don't like cruises, you can leave. Terry, I deposited in March 2020. I have to book by March 2021. I hope the cruise line allows me to pick longer. They likely will. They'll be accommodating. Keep up the cruising, Skeeter. Why are you even here? Michael X, you tell him, Mermaid of the Sea. Let's see. Keeping up with cruising, Skeeter. You want the cruise lines to go bankrupt? Sandy, he's not fear mongering. He's being realistic. If you don't want to hear the possibilities what might happen, then don't listen to Bruce. Sandy, that's true. Very different times. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. And keep up with cruising. Bruce for Prime Minister. No, thank you. Keeping up with cruising. Kmart was bankrupt a long time ago. That's true. It's amazing to think that Kmart at one time was the fourth largest retailer in the United States. Sears was number 3. The two combined into one, and they're all gone. It's really shocking, isn't it? The change of retail has really gone crazy. Paper City Gamer Jeff, hello Bruce, everyone. Paper City, how you doing, buddy? Welcome to the channel. Sandy, you are so knowledgeable, and you do make sense when you talk about the economy. Emily, good evening, Bruce. I really like your amplifier. It's quite a sound difference between holding the cell phone and the cell inside the amplifier. It's great. Emily, thank you for ordering one, and thank you for posting photos of it when you got it. It shows everyone out there what those things look like in other people's hands rather than me. The steamer is in the house. How you doing, buddy? Hey, Brucey. How you doing, buddy? Skeeter, I hope I don't have to cancel my cruise for April 2021. We'll see. Steamer, if cruising goes belly up, I am jumping on a freight ship. Jeff Dan, another top show. Bruce, Jeff, welcome to the show. Thank you for being a sponsor member. Jonathan Jones, another sponsor member. I don't like to hear about the deal and turn, but I'm not stupid. I hear you there. Steaming, Justin escaped the drama today. He did, survived another no confidence vote. John Simons, you should be wealthy being an ex-stockbroker. No, I don't know. There aren't that many wealthy ex-stockbrokers. A lot of stockbrokers out there made a living, but they didn't get rich. They worked hard. They helped the other middle-class investors try to make a go of it. But there are very few stockbrokers with billionaire clients. Those billionaire clients that pay the big commissions, they're owned by the firm. Those are what we call house accounts. And the brokers, we're the guys who, in the old days in the 70s, would pick up the yellow pages and the white pages and just start dialing people and say, "Would you like to invest? Would you be interested in investing in the stock market?" So we're not the wealthy ones necessarily in that game. Well, we have been around and we've seen it all. Paper City Gamer Jeff, CDC in Atlanta said today vaccine is as soon as 2 weeks to 8 weeks away. Well, let's hope so. But boy, I can tell you that in this country here, any vaccine that clears, testing will be tested up here. It'll take probably a year, maybe 2 years, because they do it very thoroughly. Same in Europe. In Germany and the UK, you cannot ram a vaccine through the system. You've got to prove that it works, and it takes time to prove it. We'll see. KM Harris, hi Bruce, I'm late, but I have a question. Will we be able to do back-to-back cruises in 2021? What do you speculate would be the process? Well, again, depending on the line and the ship and the itinerary, if you're looking at a back-to-back cruise that's a Caribbean, you might have a shot at it. But if the cruise lines start off with only 5% of their fleets, and then they add 5% every 5-6 weeks to the number, in other words, they add one ship every couple of weeks to the flow, your ship might be running by the time your cruise comes up. But if they're restricted to 40% occupancy, and then they're allowed to 50 and then maybe to 60, you may not have room. They may not be able to accommodate both of your cruises, even though you've made reservations. There could be a lot of reorganizing going on. And that was the point of my video today that I released earlier. Mike, it's reported that the cruise and the airline industry have debts of $200 billion. Is that true? The airlines have much more debt than the cruise lines do, because in the jet business, you can buy a jet for $200 million, $400 million, and you can finance about 90% of the jet. You can literally lease it and only put up 5% of the money. Then you are just carrying the jet through payments, and you're cash flowing the jet as it's depreciating. you're paying it down as it depreciates. And so you owe just as much as it's worth as you fly it and fly it and fly it until about 15 years, 12 years out. And then you've pretty well bought it. And it's now worth maybe 15, 20% of its original price, depending how many miles are on it, how many hours it's flown, all that kind of stuff. In the meantime, you have to maintain it, which means building out engines and replacing interiors and, you know, all the work you need to do to keep a jet up and running. But airlines, generally speaking, there are more, more jets in the air than ships in the sea. There are, thousands and thousands of aircraft. There are hundreds of cruise ships. And so the mathematics is certainly much more debt being carried by airlines than by cruise lines, because there are just more of them and more planes in existence. So yeah, that's true. The numbers, I don't know if it's 200 billion, but I'm not shocked at that number. It could be much higher than that. Keeping up with cruising, traveling with Bruce, any reason you didn't report on the Royal Caribbean doctors ignoring the young child that had meningitis? Don't know anything about it. I don't know anything about that story. And I normally don't really do medical type coverage for cruise ships. I do more about the cruise lines logistics and port of call issues, mechanical breakdowns when they're sailing, that kind of stuff. I not much for that kind. Although once in a while I'll bring up a story like that. But I don't know anything about this one. Don't know anything about it. Be wary of early vaccines, says the steamer. Mermaid is saying hi, Jonathan. Except for Russia, apparently they just need something they can call a vaccine. They've been giving it to everybody with no testing and no results because they've got the cases are surging there too. Apparently, Empress 5 to pay because these cruise lines need that extra cash to survive. They might be restricted to how many people are on the ship. They need more money they need just as much money from fewer passengers. That means more money from each passenger. That's what's going to happen. I'm guessing. Keeping up with cruising, Steaming Bean, how did you come up with that name? KM Harris, what if it's between two cruise lines? Well, now you're gambling now. Because if you're on Royal Caribbean for one ship and Norwegian for another, you're hoping that both those ships are running. You're hoping that both those ships have the same schedule that you booked way back when, giving you a back-to-back. I don't know. We'll have to see. We gotta see what's going on. Anyway, there it is. I'm not sure how this will play out, but we shall see. Jack Wise, cruise lines will have to manage cash flow when cruising resumes. Maybe passenger mix will be 50% new bookings with cash and 50% rebooked. Yep, we'll see how that goes. Steamer, if there was in Ottawa a coffee shop named Steaming Bean. My brother calls me the Steaming Pile. Keeping up with cruising. I was walking in the wind the other day and my mask flew off. Lonnie Jackson, hey Bruce, first time being being here on your show. Great job tonight with Sharon at Sea Traveling. Keep up the good work and read you or see you on the Lido deck. Thank you, Lonnie, for your kind words tonight. Emily, my New York governor, said that the public has to be convinced to take the vaccine. That could be hard to do. You could be right on that one. Skeeter, Carnival's in court right now. They are. Steamer, Bruce is looking good at 64. I'm 65. Oh no. Keeping up with cruising. I heard the Carnival's sailing soon. Tom Henry, Bean, you are a year short. Bean, getting married now? Jeannie, we have future cruise credit. We hope we can cruise again before we're too old in our 70s. We won't with wheelchairs or walkers now. We need a vaccine. Again, we'll see how all this plays out. Some of us are not going to be cruising for a few years, perhaps, and it might be too late by the time we get the chance to go again. Some of us out there have knee issues, hip issues. We're getting old, and we are physically active to a point in time, and after that, we can't do it anymore. Cross our fingers and hope this ends sooner rather than later. Guys, thank you for being here tonight and watching me with Sharon at Sea Travel. I really appreciate it. They were great to have around. We had a lot of fun with them, and I look forward to my next show, which is day after tomorrow on Friday. Jasper is here. Hi, Jasper Ross. Emily, you look great for 65. Go, Bruce. Mermaid Carnival's lobster rolls are the best. I'll be on the air Friday, 3 o'clock in the afternoon Friday. For sponsor members, we're going to be doing our trivia show after I cover the cruise news of the day. Keep your eye open on the channel for update videos on what's going on in the cruise world, as I normally will do. Keep an eye on my other channel, Stock Markets with Bruce. Appreciate you doing that. SLGC Mets, I have to confess, I didn't actually watch that. I had the video on to get you the listening minutes. But as much as I love the show, this is the first big TV night for me in a while. It's all right. Mike, your broadcasts with Emma were great. Thank you for that. We had a good time. Jonathan Jones, 140 thumbs ups tonight, Bruce. Thank you, everybody, for the thumbs ups. You're 65. I thought you were 50-something. Thank you. Skeeter, you're the best, Bruce. Love you, man. Thank you, Skeeter. Terry Gallant, your video was incredibly accurate. All cruises that were booked with ships with reduced capacity. How do you pick who gets to sail when a ship is sold out to 70% if they can sail at 50? And that's right. A lot of these ships were 100% sold out. Last year in 2019, many ships went out of port at 110% occupancy. They were overflowing with passengers. And now going forward, we might see a fraction of that. We'll have to play it by ear. Okay, guys, become a sponsor member and join me Friday at 3 o'clock Eastern time. Keep an eye on my channel. Otherwise, my next live show is scheduled for Monday at 7 o'clock for sponsor members, 8 o'clock for the big channel for all of you out there. And please keep an eye on the channel in the meantime. Thank you for the thumbs ups and all your support of TWB. I very much appreciate it. Jack Wise, with luck, I'll see you Friday at about 4 if I get home from my meeting. Mermaid, I'm going to be the last person you read. There it is. I'm out of here. I'm the last. She's the last one. That's it. It's done. I'm bye.